AITA for making a separate portion of stuffing for my son? I am not the original poster. That is you, throwaway mom 12. She posted in r, am I the asshole? Mood spoiler. Hopeful. Less than. Original post. May 19th, 2023. I, 33F, am married to John, 35M. Together we have a daughter, 3F, and are currently expecting our second child together. We both also have a child from previous relationships. I have Liam, 8M, from my previous marriage, and my husband has Ava, 10F. I make Sunday lunch for my family every week. On Friday, Liam asked if I could make stuffing without onions this week. Liam doesn't normally eat stuffing. He tried it a few times, decided he wasn't a fan, and that was it. He tried it with his dad the weekend before. We have 50-50 custody, so our weekends vary, and liked it. I agreed, and on Sunday made my son his own stuffing without onions. It's no big deal, after all, and I'm happy to make separate portions of anything if it means my children eat more. This is where the problem starts. We sit at the dining table and John points out that Liam has stuffing on his plate. Liam tells him that I made him stuffing without onions, because he likes it without the onions. Immediately, I noticed Ava's mood sour, and when I pressed her, she asked why I didn't make her stuffing without onions when she'd asked about it months ago. Now, I'd understand where she was coming from if she'd actually asked, but I had no clue what she was talking about. I said as much, and she told me that she'd brought it up with John, who said he'd talk to me. John never spoke to me about it, and told Ava that it was too much work for me to take out the onions just for her. John said he didn't tell me because he thought it'd be too hard on me. Wanted to make things easier. Thought I'd only say no anyway. He even said that it didn't make sense to make a separate portion for just one person. He said it was stupid that I'd even done it for Liam. He said the kids should learn to either make do with onions or not have stuffing at all, because not everything in life is going to go their way. I called him an idiot. I then went to the kitchen and got the rest of the onionless stuffing for Ava to try. Later that evening, Ava went back to her mother's and told her what happened, which caused an argument between her and John, and they're not on good terms anyway. John has been angry with me since. He says it's my fault. Ava, and her mother, is mad at him. He says I should have just left the DMN stuffing alone. That I'm just spoiling my son by giving in to him like that. There's been some name-calling, but I'd rather not repeat what he said. Liam must have told Mike what happened, too, because he's told me that he thinks John is overreacting. John's mother and older sister think I'm an a-hole, but his brother has told me to just ignore him. My parents are also on my side, because they used to make separate portions for me when I was a child if I didn't like a specific ingredient. My sister told me to post on here to see if the majority think I'm in the wrong or not. So, I dread to ask, am I the a-hole for making a separate portion of stuffing to suit my son's taste? Relevant comments. Has your husband been saying things to the children about food behind your back? Is it a behavior he exhibited with his ex? I hadn't thought about that. Liam hasn't mentioned anything, but I'll have to have a talk with him just in case. I'll ask his father if he's said anything about John, too. Thank you. Quote, I definitely will. I'm in charge of pickup this week, so it'll definitely be addressed before I head home. I'll be stopping at Mike's place to talk with him and Liam about John. And then I'll talk with Ava and her mom when I pick her up. There have been a lot of helpful comments and I've realized I need to talk to John's ex, too, to see if this is behavior that he exhibited when they were married. Is this anger a pattern of behavior for John? He has always had a habit of calling names when he's angry, but he never used to get angry all that often. John hasn't always been this bullheaded. He's kind and funny, and he loves the kids. But I'll admit there's been a change in him over the last few months. Thank you. I really appreciate it. He is normally very good to us. But he has been quicker to anger these past few months after I found out I was pregnant with our second child together. Hopefully it'll get better after our talk. Thank you again. Quote, did you call him an idiot in front of the kids? I'll admit calling him an idiot wasn't my best moment. I didn't say it aggressively by any means. But looking back, it was wrong to do so. Definitely a slip of the tongue and not something I practice often. Especially in front of the kids. I was just blown away. Honestly. Oop decides what else to do. Thank you. As bizarre as this argument has been, it's definitely been an eye-opener. I'm planning on showing him these comments tonight when our daughter is in bed. I also plan to have a long talk and air everything out before Liam and Ava come home tomorrow. Can you teach the kids to make their own food too? That's another thing. Liam and Ava do sometimes help out when I'm making the dinner on Sundays, if they're not otherwise engaged. Because holding a child's attention can sometimes be a battle. They'll help me with peeling the potatoes or stirring the gravy, etc. John has always been hands-off on Sunday dinners. Quote, Oop is voted NTA. Update post. May 23, 2023. 4 days later. Hi everyone. Before I begin, I just wanted to thank everyone for the overwhelming number of comments and messages I received as a response to my original post because of the support and advice that a lot of you gave me. I wanted to come back and give you all an update on how things have progressed since then. On Friday night, aka a few hours after I posted, I sat down with my husband after he put our 3-year-old to bed to talk about what had transpired and why he reacted the way that he did. We spent 15 minutes just reading through comments and messages you guys left. And John was ashamed. He was also very hurt that his reaction, i.e. the name calling, was, in the eyes of the majority, bordering on abuse. He was disgusted with himself. Now on to the onion debacle. I'm not going to quote everything he said word for word, but it boils down to this. John's dad was very strict when it came to meals. You ate what you were given. And that was that. If John or his siblings ever expressed their dislike for something on their plate, even if it was just one thing, then the meal would be thrown out and they'd go to bed hungry. His dad drilled into him the same, not everything goes your way, mentality that John expressed last week. No one ever told John any different growing up. His mom followed the same rules even after his parents divorced. His dad remarried and John's stepmom was just as bad. If John wanted something, it was an automatic no from her. John didn't tell me about Ava's request because he didn't want me to shut her down as coldly as he was. I guess it was 2 traumas with 1 stone. Then it comes to the anger. Again, I'm summarizing here, but John attributes it to stress. He feels overwhelmed with the kids and the pregnancy. And his work has been particularly busy over the last few months. He feels constantly frustrated and doesn't know how to bring that down. But then he asked a question that really blew my mind. He asked if I was having an affair with my ex-husband, Liam's father. Apparently his mom, lovely lady, made a comment about how close we were, how it was unnatural, and it's been playing on his mind since. I'll admit that Mike, my ex-husband, and I are close. We're friends. We have a child together. But we don't love each other anymore. All of this I told my husband. I asked if I did something to make him not trust me on that. Well, after 4 years of marriage, I found out why John and his ex-wife hate each other. She had an affair. He didn't want to tell me because he was embarrassed and he wanted to put it behind him. He also didn't want me to hate her and maybe have that ruin my relationship with Ava. Because it was his pain, his burden, To Carrie, he's bitter because she never apologized and blamed him for the affair. He's apologized profusely for the pain he has caused me and our children. I apologized for calling him an idiot. We both agreed no onions on Sunday. Despite this exhausting and enlightening conversation with John, I still sat down and spoke with Liam the next day when I went to pick him up from Mike's. Liam said John has never said anything weird to him. Nor has he gotten angry, yelled at him. He's never raised a hand. Mike said that Liam has never mentioned anything to him about John. He also said that Liam still brings up the time that John took him and Ava to the zoo when I was pregnant with our youngest. I also decided to go ahead and talk with John's ex-wife, Izzy. I asked her if John was ever hot-headed when they were together, and she said that he'd get angrier with stress. I then asked about the affair, because while I wanted to believe my husband unconditionally, I needed to hear it from her side. She admitted it. She said that she'd connected with a guy from her job. She said she doesn't feel guilty about it, because it felt like John was waiting for an excuse to leave. Because that's exactly what he did. They argued, and he left. And that was it. Neither of them fought for their marriage. And Izzy's bitterness is mostly due to the fact that, when they were in the process of divorcing, John ordered a DNA test on Ava because the affair made him question if he was really Ava's father. There were no onions on Sunday. John has agreed not only to couples counseling but to solo counseling as well. We're also considering family therapy. But before we commit to it, I want to get Mike and Izzy's opinions since they're the other parent of our respective children. John has also apologized to both Ava and Liam separately for the incident. He made the stuffing this weekend with Ava. No onions. It was nice. John even apologized to my parents for being a no-show last week. It's been very stressful, but I love my husband. I believe that he can grow from this. I know him to be kind, and funny, and just a good man overall. I hope from the bottom of my heart that things will be looking up by the time we welcome our son into this world. Thank you to everyone who has left comments and messages again. I genuinely believe that your advice may have helped save our marriage. Or, at the very least, given me the strength I needed to save it myself. It's never about what it's about. Damn, they have stuffing every Sunday? I want an invite. Dude needs to put his mom on an information diet before she ruins his marriage. The onions are not the issue here. Adults having civilized conversations and solving problems instead of letting resentments fester? What sub am I even on right now? Neither of them fought for their marriage. And Izzy's bitterness is mostly due to the fact that, when they were in the process of divorcing, John ordered a DNA test on Ava because the affair made him question if he was really Ava's father. Imagine the nerve of someone not trusting you'd been faithful after discovering you'd been unfaithful. Communication FTW. Holy moly. A lot of people had opinions on this argument. Both the exes, the mill, the sill, her parents. That's way too many people weighing in on an argument between two people. My mom used to make curried scallops for everyone else and scallops without curry for me, because I was a really fussy eater. Scrambled egg with cheese for everyone else and without cheese for me. I adored her for it. Anyone else kinda mad that the real guilty parties, John's mom, Izzy, more or less got off scot-free by the end. Not that there was realistically anything that could have been done about Izzy, but still frustrating. That actually makes me so sad. Coming from the generation raised by the fat-free, eat all your food or go hungry, body-checking parents, I feel Dad's kinda breaking through the trauma. That heartache. Seeing his kids being treated better than he was, and that shame that comes from feeling like you can't voice opinions or requests, even with people you trust. It's how I developed an ED. From eating fat will make you fat, or maybe a smaller portion. You look a little heavier. Note I wasn't. I was 5 feet 10 and swimming, athletics all through my teens. I was healthy and fit. Just snowballs into these people I trust. So I must trust that yeah, I am fat. That spiraling grip for control and feeling shame for opinions that didn't align with what I was being told. John is feeling all sorts of emotions in one format. Anger. They didn't give him any chance to learn when he was growing up. Come join us in therapy, John. We are all children of mad parents down here. That is a lot to unpack in the update. OP's husband is lucky that she's willing to work through all of that with him. I hope he commits to therapy as enthusiastically as she's committed to him. Lol at the ex-wife being mad that he wanted a paternity test after admitting to an affair. Then it comes to the anger. Again, I'm summarizing here, but John attributes it to stress. He feels overwhelmed with the kids and the pregnancy. And his work has been particularly busy over the last few months. He feels constantly frustrated and doesn't know how to bring that down. But then he asked a question that really blew my mind. He asked if I was having an affair with my ex-husband, Liam's father. Apparently his mom, lovely lady, made a comment about how close we were, how it was unnatural, and it's been playing on his mind since. Well, after 4 years of marriage, I found out why John and his ex-wife hate each other. She had an affair. He didn't want to tell me because he was embarrassed and he wanted to put it behind him. This guy definitely needs solo therapy. What comes across here is a real inflexibility? Not sure how else to describe it. He's disconnected from his emotions. He doesn't know how to communicate. He doesn't seem to fully trust his wife, almost to the point of not respecting her. And his mother seems to have a direct link to yanking his chain. Not good. The point about being too embarrassed is a concern. If you can't be vulnerable with your spouse, who can you be vulnerable with? He's already hiding, not communicating his thoughts and feelings because he assumes how she will act. Dangerous territory. They're married with kids, and this is the first time she's heard the real reason he left his ex. That would not sit well with me at all. That's a huge detail to leave out of your current relationship. And then lying to the daughter that he'd asked about the onions? Didn't want her to be hurt by being told no. So he told her no himself and put the blame on Oop anyway? IDK man. I hope therapy goes well because he needs it yesterday. That onion deserves a halo for saving their marriage. Wow, the cheating ex. She doesn't feel guilty even after all this time and still blames him for leaving when he was betrayed. What a rotten person. I'm so glad to see the next generation healing and having stuffing without onions. I really understand because my father's stepmother was the same way. It might seem small, but I'm glad. And that's what generational trauma looks like. Good on her for breaking the cycle. Hope they all find healing.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Haircast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.